Today we'll be talking about the connectors for Stratum, and there's two of them, one for Excel and one for Power BI. So we'll be discussing what those are and taking a look at those connectors and how to use them. My name's Adam Kurtz, and again, welcome to today's Insight session. We're going to review what the Stratum Data Hub is quickly, and then we'll dive right into the Power BI connector. We'll talk about what that is. If you've never used Power BI, it's a Microsoft tool for building pretty slick reports and graphics off of data sets. So we've built a bridge or a connection to the Stratum interface so that you can bring down data from your views from Stratum. And so we'll talk about that. And then we'll also have something similar, very similar in concept for Excel. So we'll talk about the Excel connector, how to get that into Excel, and then we'll take a look at a demo and take any questions that you might have. So that's our agenda for today. Like I said, here's the Stratum Data Hub. We just wanted to talk about this very quickly. This is a 30,000 foot view of our application. On the right-hand side, you can see how we get data out of the Data Hub. And then on the left-hand side is how we feed data in. So we have different tools available for getting data into Stratum, as you can see. And then we'll be concentrating today on the bottom right-hand side. We'll be talking about those connectors, Excel and Power BI. And that's part of the Stratum Access Hub, as you can see. And if you're not licensed for that, and you'd like to be, well, certainly contact me and we could talk about it and how you can get access to these incredible tools. So what is Power BI? If you've never discussed or thought about Power BI or never been exposed to it, well, basically it's a Microsoft, like I said, Microsoft reporting tool. As you can see, there's a lot to it, or can be a lot to it, where you can tap into Excel, you can tap into other databases such as SQL Server analysis services, and a lot of other types of data sources as well. Well, certainly Stratum Viewer can now become part of your data source as well by using the connector piece. So you can build these reports and upload them to the cloud and let other users take advantage of these Power BI visualizations. So Power BI, a simple reporting tool, can be simple, also can be very sophisticated as well. Is it cost effective? It can be. So there's a free version of it. There's different levels of tiers of pricing. You can take that up with Microsoft, but certainly there's different options for you. These visualizations are fully customizable. How about that? So you can customize them accordingly. They are actually kind of fun to play around with and get what you want out of them. There's different types of customizations. We'll take a look at those. Different types of visualizations. You can collaborate. You can push these up to the cloud and collaborate with these reports and dashboards that are and make them available to other cloud users as well. This is a nice option when you need a custom report or chart or something that you may not be able to do within Stratum. This provides a nice option for you. So the Power BI desktop obviously would need the Power BI connector so that you can tap into Stratum views. And that's kind of how it's the flow of what you need there in order for that to work. Once we tap into those views within the Power BI desktop, as you can see, we can then select a view that we want to bring into Power BI and use that as a data set for our reports. They then appear on the right-hand side. If you've used Power BI before, it displays just like any other data set. And as you can see, the columns and the measures of what's within the view from Stratum become available so that you can then drag and drop them into your reports. And you can have more than one view available for your data sets. So if you want to bring in inventory and sales and open orders, you can bring that in one view, or you can separate them into separate views, depending on a couple things. If you're looking for performance, you probably don't want to have just one big monstrous view that has everything in it. may not perform well. So that's another thing to think about when you create some views that you may want to create strictly for these Power BI reports. The Excel connector, very similarly to the Power BI connector, you would have an add-in that would provide a gateway to those views within Stratum. So again, that would have to be licensed, and you would then need to install it within your Excel spreadsheet. Once you have that, you can then use Excel as your front end to connect to your Stratum views. You can, obviously you probably are using Excel today, so I don't know if it's cost effective per se for you, but it, in terms of Office 365, depending, it can be. It's fully customizable, and you can create many different types of things within the Excel spreadsheet. So Microsoft's done a pretty good job actually of updating some of the things that you can build within the Excel spreadsheets. Similar to Power BI, there's a lot of different things that you can do that look pretty good actually. So Excel does have pretty powerful features for analysis and visualization. Another thing is that it shares the semantic layer with Stratum and Power BI. So you've got these additional sharing of data across these platforms. Interestingly enough, I like to call them Microsoft Magic, but that's something that is a perk as you start using these tools with the Microsoft stack of technology. And there's one of my examples of what you can do within Excel. As you can see, it does look a little similar to the Power BI report I just showed you, where you've got these heat maps, and the graphing is roughly, looks very similar. So something interesting, a little pivot table graph built off of the raw data that you're pulling down from your connector. So that's essentially how you would, some of the things that you can do within the Excel spreadsheet using the connector. So if you want to talk more about this, if you are not sure you're licensed for it, that's something I can help you with. There's my contact information. Feel free to contact me and we can talk about it. Other things to look up here there's our website, customernet.sylvan.com is a great resource for upcoming releases, what's new documents. And then our forum.sylvan.com is a great way to go out and gain more information about Stratum. And don't forget our YouTube channel, where this presentation and many others will end up being recorded and uploaded to the YouTube channel. So check that out. And there's a lot of information and resources here at your fingertips. So make sure you take full advantage of that. All right, so let's get into some product here. I'm going to jump into one of the demos would be the Power BI connector. So let's look at that. Here we have the Power BI connector open. This is what they call the Power BI desktop. And within the desktop, I can, as you can see, get connected to different pieces of data here, different data hubs, different Excel workbooks, SQL Server databases. You would decide different things that you can tap into to build your Power BI reports. This particular scenario, I would go in and select get data. If I go into more, it will then allow me to gain access to the Power BI connector, which is already the Stratum Power BI connector, which is already installed. So if I select other, there's my Sylvan Stratum views connector, which then allows me to connect to those views, gain access to the views that are available to me, and give me a list of views that I can then tap into. So now it's actually tapping into, it's going to ask you for the URL. So you want to make sure that you have that available so you can get into that, whatever instance that you're looking for. Your Sylvan, your Stratum viewer instance would be something that you'd want to use here. So I'm just typing in one of our demonstration instances that we can use to tap into. And then just using my current credentials, it's now waiting for a connection to that environment. Once it connects to the environment, it will then bring up a list of the views that are available. As you can see, each view has its own folder. So as you can see, there's a lot of different views within this environment. So I can search for a keyword that I may have prefaced one of my views with PBI or Power BI. If I then gain access to the report, I can then highlight the view that I want to use for this particular Power BI report. And as you can see, it brings over the data within that view as a preview. So you can then see all the different fields that are going to become available for the Power BI reports. Well, I've already brought over, I would just say load to that. It will then load it in over here as one of my data sources. And as you can see, I've already done that for this particular view. So let's take a look at that. So if we expand that out, we can see that we've got a lot of things to play around with here. We can see the comparative sales view has the different columns that are available within that view. If we were to take a look at that view, we would see all these different fields available. And then as you can see, some of these visualizations over here, I have highlighted. This particular visualization here on the left is highlighted. So Power BI is telling me that it's using this particular view for that visual. And then I'm using the product brand and its long description along with the product. So this is a drill down visual. That allows you to drill down on the data. Also looking at, we have this nifty little other doodaddy that allows you to select, it provides a nice selection for sales units or sales dollars. So, and then up here in the report, as you can see, I can select here amount or units. So that's some slick things that you can do within Power BI to making, switching from dollars to units is a snap for the user. So some of the more advanced things that you can do is kind of cool. If I were to build something on the fly here, for instance, if I made a little room here for maybe a pie chart visualization right here, I can then come in and drag and drop or select, what visualization I want to use here. I'll just build a quick pie chart based on some of the data within that view that we're looking at here for comparative sales. So maybe I want to use year-to-date sales. So I highlight that. It then becomes available within my pie chart. And then, if I wanted to select product family long description here, it will then pie chart out based on those descriptions there, the data for the year-to-date sales. Here we can see that the family has been then rendered out according to the sales for year-to-date. And I can then kind of hover over these bigger pies slices to see, some of the product mix and where a good portion of the revenue is going. That's how easy that is. I mean, it's really cool. As you can see, it keeps context with the other visualizations as well. So if I highlight Farm Fresh, it then keeps context with the other visualizations showing me what Farm Fresh sales is doing. We can see that, how the reps are portrayed by that Farm Fresh selection. We can see Farm Fresh year-to-date sales is almost 1.5 million, rolling 3 months of 570K. Current month is listed at 155K. Slick, right? I mean, there's a lot of things I can do here. I can also drill down on Farm Fresh and it will take me to the product level. If I highlight the drill down button there, it then drills me from Farm Fresh into the items where I can then see all the items for Farm Fresh and see that the peach slices there on top, pineapple slices, and then I can scroll through all the different items for that brand. So cool stuff, a lot of really good stuff that you have here. Another great thing that Sylvan provides is the ability to drill to another view. So here we have a graphic, and that graphic is is customizable because it's basically attached to the Sylvan drill through button, right? So fields for filtering, if I wanted to use this and basically modify this or configure this initially, as you can see, I can then use a salesperson filter there. So if I select Patrick Hurley or Nicole, it will then filter on their sales rep ID, and then I can jump to a view for more detail. So it's really cool how that works. And then you can tell it what view ID that you'll be using for that drill to view. And many other options here if you want to turn on and off those options on the fly as well. Kind of cool, some of the stuff that you can do with that. But the good news here is that on the target side of things, for that view, there's nothing that you need to do. There's no parameter set up. There's previous editions of this was difficult. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, it was complicated, and so this has made it so much easier to set this up and to jump to another view. So let me demonstrate. So for instance, so now we know that this is tied to the sales rep ID. So if I select Patrick Hurley, for instance, we could see Patrick's numbers here. Obviously he's selling some Farm Fresh and some other brands here as well. So but I only get so much data here, right? I don't really get like true gridded out data. Maybe I want to see that. This is wonderful. This is a great way to start my day out. But if I want to see more about all the gritty nitty detail for Patrick Hurley, I'm going to jump to a view. I will then just click on that icon. Now, when you run this in the cloud, you don't get this this open browser business. This is because you're within this designer, it's just telling you what it's going to do. But if you're in the cloud using this, it does not do that. And it will then just jump you directly into the view. So now it's taking me into the view, and you'll notice that right away that the sales rep ID has been filtered and put right up here into the view filter. So we know that this data that we're looking at represents Patrick Hurley, because there it is right there in the view filter. So all my drill downs, if I want to see what Patrick was selling, obviously Patrick only sells within the grocery division. I know I have a food division here, but when I filter on Patrick, it just shows me grocery. So we know that that we become more intelligent about where he's doing business, what brands he's selling, some of the top brands if I sort this in descending fashion. So now I'm in the world of viewer, right? I'm in the world of viewer, and I don't, at this point I can drill anywhere. So if I wanted to see what products he's selling under Farm Fresh, so now I've got a nice data grid of all the different products that he has available. So being able to drill from that particular graphic into more detail for Patrick, if I were to select Nicole and do the same thing, where I can jump into Nicole's business side of things, and then I can see what Nicole's doing. And Nicole's data tells a bit of a different story, doesn't it, compared to Patrick? We can see Patrick has pretty decent growth across the board here. Nicole, not so much. She's got work to do. So those are the things that you can do within the Power BI connector that allows you to get more detail very easily, and setting up that button so that you can jump to that detail rather quickly and easily and get that detail up for the users. For Excel, we've got similar concept in Excel where I can open up Excel and have a Stratum add-in where I can go out and get that data within Excel. So again, the same concept here is being able to go out and get started with the add-in. Again, you would then enter in a URL here. And then once you have that, it's spelled correctly, you can then go in and do the same thing here. So there's all the views for that particular URL. You know, again, I have this search capability. So if I want to search for that same view that I used within my Power BI reports, there's the comparative sales. I'm going to click on insert. It's now going and getting the data from that view and dumping it into the spreadsheet for me. And there it all is. So here's all the data from the view. And then I could do whatever I want with this in Excel, right? So within Excel, you know, there's some things that I can do, such as bringing in data from a forecast. So maybe I want to dump down like actual sales data or forecast data. Could be anything, order data. I can then use this as a forecast. So as you can see, I'm taking data down from a particular view where I'm then I can take that data and copy and paste it over here and massage it as needed. You know, I can use these slicers to slice the data for a given rep or broker, and then I can massage the forecast for the upcoming forecast for that particular rep or broker. Once I'm done with all that, there's an upload feature as well. So I can actually upload data to Stratum, and it will then take this data, upload it to the designer, and would allow me then to map the data accordingly, so that then I can then upload my changes to this forecast and have that loaded into the plan or the forecast target category that you would have here. So it's actually going out, it's asking me, you know, where would you want to put this? You know, is it a time series or a transaction file? And then, you know, where is that data, you know, found, et cetera, et cetera. So you would need to know all that for that particular file, right? You would just very easily go in and get that information from the header information. We could see that on the third header row. That's where the data, that's where the time series, you know, that's how I would tell it, because it needs to know, you know, where that some of that data is, right? So we can see that there's, you know, 3. Let's just get that. Well, it's not, it's transaction. And then how many headers do we have in that? We've got what, 4, 5 headers, right? There we go. So, and then I would just click to add that in. It will then pump that data into my preview. So now, as you can see, it's taken that data from that spreadsheet and it's now uploaded to my preview area where I can then do the necessary mapping. The mapping's already done. As you can see, if you do your metadata properly, and of course, if you get data directly from Stratum, you know, the metadata should match anyway. And now I'm ready to actually upload this and have this available within Stratum as a upload, you know, updated forecast. So that's how quickly you can do some things within the Excel spreadsheet to then dump data down from Stratum and then copy it or have links to it to another workable format, where then you can make changes to the data and then quickly upload that back into Stratum. And that's the scenario that we have here for this particular one. Other things that you can do is you could have bring down your, you can bring down your finance information if you've got GL data stored in Stratum, and you can then have that available where you can import your finance data. Similarly, using the Excel connector, I can then import my finance data, my income statement here, which has some of that information, some of the additional expenses from the GL, and then I can build some really interesting things here in terms of being able to use Excel's more powerful visualizations to then look at the finance data and whether I'm being profitable throughout the year, and then looking at the other cost factors as well. So, and this would just, refresh, this would update as I open the file every day. It would reach out, grab the numbers. If there's any new numbers that need to be displayed here, well, you wouldn't have to do anything. It would just automatically update. So, and, in order to get the, if you do go into the insert into Excel and go get add-ins, You can do a search for the Sylvan add-in for the Excel connector, and that's how you can go out and get that. For the Power BI, you would need to get an executable from us. So just you would contact us, and we can make that available for download. In case you wanted to download these and make them available. For Excel, all you need to do is go out into the Microsoft Store and look for it, and then you can install it.